Hey, this is Goldbond 2000. I am doing a quick video, actually three videos, just walking you through Wolf PVE DPS. First video is going to be on typical setup. We're on the PTS. I've got an Orc Sorcerer, and I have a program called Superstar up that just shows you like all of the stuff that I have. The big parts here are that kind of help increase DPS are golding stuff out if you can, making sure it's traded to divines, and then putting all bloodthirsties on your jewelry with weapon damage enchants. I tend to run a Blood Moon Greatsword that's sharpened, just because it allows me to run the Shadow Mundus. So right here, I'll show you that in a second. And I'll go through which Mundus to choose. And then back bar, I run Master's Bow infused with weapon damage. For this patch and last patch, the double dot poisons have been outperforming a weapon damage enchant here on your front bar. So double dot is the same as the crown lethal poison. You'll see 1734 for 4.5 seconds and 1126 for 6.4 seconds with a 10-second cooldown once it applies. Otherwise, sets are Molag Kina. You want to do 7 medium because of the medium armor passive, which increases your weapon crit for each medium armor piece equipped, so it makes sense to do 7. And then here I typically run off of PTS, I run 3 purples, 3 purple bloodthirsty. You only lose 3% damage under 25% total. So this, if it's gold, adds 30% damage when an enemy is under 25. If it's purple, it's 27. There's not a big enough difference to justify spending a ton of gold on golding your jewelry. Next, kind of the most common question we're getting is like, what Mundus should you run? And it really depends on whether you run sharpened. If you've got one sharpened, you'll have to put quite a few points into your champion points. That's assuming like you're 810. If you're like CP 400 or 500, you're probably going to have to run the Lover Mundus anyway to free up other champion points. But essentially, what you have to look at, and kind of the most underrated stat for doing PVE damage in trials, is overall group penetration. So each of the trial bosses is going to have 18,200 resistances, and you want to get as close to that as possible without going over. Any step below 18,200 gives the boss damage mitigation. So I've been in a few trial groups where people should be doing way better DPS than what they're doing, and you'll bring up combat metrics and it'll be like 12,000 penetration, which is way under. That's giving the boss like 30% damage mitigation or even 40%. I can't remember the calculation. But anyways, the way I look at it is, you're gonna have from someone who's running, I'm gonna reload right here, sorry, I wasn't prepared. We need, oh no, I don't have to, inventory insight, and I'll show you what you run with like Torug's packed. So I have a lightning staff, of Torug's Pact. Oh, it's not showing up. Thought I had a restoration. No. No, I don't have one. An Infused Crusher enchant on a two-hander. I will put in the comments here, or even put it up on screen. But it adds a certain amount of penetration. I think it's like 2,700 or like 2,200. So someone's going to be applying that for you. Someone's going to apply major fracture, which is 5,280. Hopefully you have somebody running minor fracture, which is usually a Templar healer applying Power of the Light, which gives you about 1,500 pen. And then somebody's going to be running Alkosh, which gives you about 3,000. So just roughly, I have my calculator here, and I'll put these up on screen. 1,500 plus 3,000 plus it's like 2,000 for Infused Crusher on a Torug's Pact, plus 5,280. Brings you to about 12,000 penetration. And I'm gonna do that one more time because something's off. 2,000 plus 1,500. 5,280. Yeah, so about 12,000. 18,200 minus 12,000 leaves you with about 6,200 penetration that you have to provide on your own. You can see Sharpened Enchant gives you 2,752, so 6,200 minus 2,752 leaves you 3,448. If you're only running Sharpened on one hand, then you have to account for that. It's half of 2,752. But here I have 3,448 that I need to provide here. And you can see I'm a little under. You see, increases your physical penetration by 2,692. So what I'll do is I'll redistribute. Typically I'll take a little bit out of Mighty. I like to leave Precise alone because werewolves have problems with crit chance. So all I'm going to do is bring this up to a little above 3,448. Probably take one or two out of here. Maybe one or two out of here. It hurts me to do it. Okay. That's going to be close enough. So we'll confirm. A really quick and easy way to figure out what you need to provide penetration wise is you should be reaching about 11,000 to 12,000 penetration on the 6 million target dummy when you factor in major fracture. And now that wolves can apply it without having to fear the target, you can fracture the target and then do a quick parse on it and figure out what your penetration is. But essentially you're going to take this number. So you'll actually start with 12,000 minus the Sharpened trait, 2,752, minus major fracture, 5,280. And that number that's left over is the penetration that you have to provide with CP. In this case it was 3,968. So a little more than what we have, but that's where I start with figuring out where to distribute my CP for PVE. Then after that, it's for a orc, sorcerer, werewolf. It's going to be roughly similar, and for most cases it's going to be roughly similar, where you want to put a decent amount in the physical weapon expert and master at arms because it buffs your direct damage with light attacks. And then the rest will be thaumaturge, precise strikes, mighty, and piercing. Other than that, we talked a little bit about golding your gear if possible, and then having the right traits. So transmuting over to divines is very important. If you've got a sharpened weapon and you can meet your penetration goal with CP in your sharpened weapon, then I would encourage you to take the Shadow Mundus, which we have not taken. I think I have that somewhere over here. It's the Lover, Thief, which increases critical chance, Shadow. This will increase critical damage. I'll show you why it's important to gold your gear if possible and have it in divines. This increases your critical damage by 19%, which is a huge amount. And that's dependent on your trait being divines, which increases your Mundus Stone effect by 7.5. If you have purple gear, I think it's 6 or 6.5. So golding actually adds about 5 to 6% critical damage. Okay, so that's this video. Sorry it took so long. Sorry my voice sounds this way. It's kind of douchey when I listen to it. But anyway, that's video number 1. Video number 2, I'm going to go over the dynamic rotation for a PVE werewolf. And the 2 add-ons I have, as you can already see, are one called Full Moon, and then one called Molag Kina's Tracker. So download those, because I think they're really helpful. Okay. On to the next video. Thanks for listening.